OpenBazaar was sort of an early OG in e-commerce with Bitcoin, and OpenBazaar closed not long ago. And our colleague Mark Hochstein had a really interesting conversation with its founder as to why he thought it didn't work out. And there's a lot of interesting nuggets in here. We could go all sorts of numbers of ways. One of the things that he mentioned that I thought was really interesting was, again, the prevalence of Bitcoin as an asset, as a store of value, rather than what it had originally been intended to be, that peer-to-peer electronic payment system. A lot of good nuggets in here. I think we could go all sorts of ways with this, but OpenBazaar was certainly an OG in the decentralized e-commerce space, and it just didn't work out. I think there's a number of reasons for that. So I just wanted to open up a conversation around what ends up being a really insightful piece on a project that just was either too early or couldn't quite find product market fit. I'm going to toss this to Naomi for a little bit of the backstory on OpenBazaar. I think it was founded in 2014, really with this idea of providing commerce on the internet without a centralized intermediary, which is a noble aim, but it just didn't click. What's your take on OpenBazaar, whether it's this piece or your past experience with that platform?
Yeah, so OpenBazaar was awesome, and I think that a decentralized marketplace is definitely needed in the world. This kind of came off the heels of Silk Road getting shut down, and I know that Brian Hoffman's really distanced himself from the idea that there's anything illicit going on here. The way they did this was they had this permissionless structure underneath the hood, but basically they didn't index illicit goods, so you couldn't search for them, but you could still use OpenBazaar to trade them, and it's sort of the way that a lot of these permissionless platforms work. Even like Google searches, right? Google just doesn't index something. It doesn't mean that it doesn't exist on the internet. There are just other ways to get to it, and so it was super cool. I had an account on there. I was selling goods and things on there, and I loved the idea. It really didn't take off at all. Why are you guys giggling? You guys are always giggling.
I want to know what it was. What was the thing?
I'm just I've got John Mulaney in my head. It's like goods and or services. Like
I was selling, like, I have a children's book I wrote like back in 2015, so I was selling that. I was selling some merchandise and stuff. I just loved the idea of supporting the people who were building out our decentralized future. And marketplaces are a huge part of that. I don't like them being controlled. And so I wanted to support the people who are, trying to build out options and alternatives for people. What was interesting, though, on the site was that it was kind of, there was some bugs in there. Like Bitcoin payments didn't work well on there. They had other payments. I think that, I'm good friends with the former lead developer there. I believe that they were trying to, focus on other stuff, but then like Ethereum kind of became like a focus that they were kind of put in. And like, honestly, I just don't think that the world was ready for it. We're only now starting to see this explosion of DeFi and people starting to talk about why decentralized things are important. This was like 2014 that they started this and tried for a long time to really get movement around this, but I think they were just too early. I don't think that decentralized marketplaces are dead. I would love to see them try again. I want to see them try like basing it on Zcash or something. I understand that there are difficult things associated with adding Zcash, but I want to see them try. I think that would be so awesome and so needed. I just think that they were too early. And I loved them. I was super sad when I saw them go down. And honestly, it was kind of expected because they never had a monetization model. And I know they explored for a little while, like maybe they were going to create their own token. They never took like a percentage of trades or anything. So there was always a question in my back of my mind where I'm like, how are these VCs going to be making back their money on this? It seems that, they just never got there because I think they were hoping to see a lot more people flocking to the website, and that just never came. But yeah, looking forward to the future. Come on, OpenBazaar team. I want to see what you've got next, because I do think decentralization and decentralized markets will be a big part of our future. But Ben, I'm going to throw this to you.
Yeah, sure. I think this is also a nice little tidy reminder that all the A16Z touches is not made of gold. They were one of the VCs that were backing this. And I do think projects can also die, and that can be okay, I think, in my mind. I think it's really instructive when we look back at how things are built and then where they kind of fail. Like we were talking about like peer-to-peer Tor relays in this and building systems for Bitcoin payments and also working on a desktop and a mobile app and talking to tech people and everything else. I kind of like put my product manager hat on, and you look at this and you're like, okay, there was just a lot going on. And when you're trying to build it from the ground up without that central intermediary, like they're even trying to do like certain search engine stuff and things like that. And then you have to index information, and it gets really hard really, really fast. And, aside from it being a little bit before the time, I think it's sort of instructive that we've not seen an immediate sort of competitor pop up or a replacement pop up. Maybe there isn't quite the market for it just yet. I think there's a lot of lessons to take away from this. And I think that, this is going to continue to happen in the decentralized space more and more. It's like, we're going to see projects live, we're going to see projects die. And I think that is okay because we learn something each time. And sort of maybe to Jen, when talking about Jack's tweets, right? We want more information. Like sometimes you get a lot of information from what doesn't work. And then, there's going to be more VC funding out there. There's going to be more projects, and, try again.
Yeah, I just want to add before we wrap up is we could actually learn a lot from Library on this, right? Because Library had this clunky peer-to-peer app that people were like, I don't really understand what an app is. I use websites. And then it wasn't until they built Odyssey and Library.tv that people started flocking to the network. I think if OpenBazaar had a peer-to-peer app but also had this centralized website functionality as well, I think a lot more people would have flocked there because it's just something they're more comfortable with. Because I think that you do need two parts. You need the real decentralized infrastructure and the peer-to-peer optionality for those who are really hardcore about this, but then add like a really easy way for other people who may not have decentralization as their primary goal, add a way for them to get involved. So that was something that I think would have been really cool.